The Rape of the Lock by Alexander Pope, first published in 1712. But anxious cares the pensive nymph, oppressed, and secret passions labored in her breast. Not youthful kings in battle seized alive, not scornful virgins who their charms survive, not ardent lovers robbed of all their bliss, not ancient ladies when refused a kiss, not tyrants fierce that unrepenting die, not Cynthia when her mantl's pinned awry, ere felt such rage, resentment, and despair as thou, sad virgin, for thy ravaged hair. For that sad moment when the sylphs withdrew, and Ariel, weeping, from Belinda flew, Umbriel, a dusky, melancholy sprite, as ever sullied the fair face of light, down to the central earth, his proper scene, repaired to search the gloomy cave of spleen. Swift on his sooty pinions flits the gnome, and in vapor reached the dismal dome. No cheerful breeze the sullen region knows, the dreaded east is all the wind that blows. Here in a grotto, sheltered close from air, and screened in shades from day's detested glare, she sighs forever on her pensive bed, pain at her side and megrim at her head. Two handmaids wait the throne, alike in place, but differing far in figure and in face. Here stood ill nature like ancient maid, her wrinkled form in black and white arrayed, with store of prayers for mornings, nights, and noon. Her hand is filled, her bosom, with lampoons. Their affectation with a sickly mien shows in her cheek the roses of 18, practiced to lisp and hang the head aside, faints into airs and languishes with pride. On the rich quilt sinks with becoming woe, wrapped in a gown for sickness and for show. The fair ones feel such maladies as these, when each new night dress gives a new disease. A constant vapor o'er the palace flies, strange phantoms rising as the mists arise. Dreadful as hermits' dreams in haunted shades, or bright as visions of expiring maids. Now glaring fiends and snakes on rolling spires, pale spectres gaping tombs and purple fires. Now lakes of liquid gold, Elysian scenes, and crystal domes, and angels in machines. Unnumbered throngs on every side are seen, of bodies changed to various forms by spleen. Here living teapots stand, one arm held out, one bent the handle this, and that the spout. A pipkin here, like Homer's tripod walks, here sighs a jar, and there a goose pie talks. Men prove with child as powerful fancy works, and maids turned bottles call aloud for corks. Save past the gnome throw this fantastic band, a branch of healing spleenwort in his hand, then thus addressed the power. Hail, wayward queen, who ruled the sex to 50 from 15. Parent of vapors and a female wit, who give thy hysteric or poetic fit. On various tempers, act by various ways, make some take physic or scribble plays. Who cause the proud their visits to delay, and send the godly in a pet to pray. A nymph there is, that all thy power disdains, and thousands more in equal mirth maintains. But oh, if e'er thy gnome could spoil a grace, or raise a pimple on a beauteous face, like citron waters, matrons' cheeks inflame, or change complexions at a losing game. If e'er with airy horns I planted heads, or rumpled petticoats, or tumbled beds, or caused suspicion when no soul was rude, or discomposed the head dress of a prude, or e'er to costive lapdog gave disease, which not the tears of brightest eyes could ease, hear me and touch Belinda with chagrin. That single act gives half the world the spleen. The goddess, with a discontented air, seems to reject him, though she grants his prayer. A wondrous bag with both her hands she binds, like that where once Ulysses held the winds. There she collects the force of female lungs, sighs, sobs, and passions, and the war of tongues. A vile neck she fills with fainting fears, soft sorrows, melting griefs, and flowing tears. The gnome rejoicing bears her gift away, spreads his black wings, and slowly mounts to day. Sunk in Talystris' arms the nymph he found, her eyes dejected and her hair unbound. Full o'er their heads the swelling bag he rent, and all the furies issued at the vent. Belinda burns with more than mortal ire, and fierce Thalestris fans the rising fire. O wretched maid, she spreads her hands and cried, while Hampton's echoes, wretched maid, replied, was it for this you took such constant care the bodkin, comb, and essence to prepare? For this your locks in paper durance bound, for this with torturing irons wreathed around, for this with fillets strained your tender head, and bravely bore the double loads of lead. Gods! Shall the ravisher display your hair, while the fops envy and the ladies stare? Honor forbid, at whose unrivaled shrine ease, pleasure, virtue, all our sex resign. Methinks already I your tears survey, already hear the horrid things they say, already see you a degraded toast, and all your honor in a whisper lost. How shall I then your hapless fame defend? 'Twill then be infamy to seem your friend. And shall this prize, the inestimable prize, exposed through crystal to the gazing eyes, and heightened by the diamond's circling rays, on that rapacious hand forever blaze? Sooner shall grass in Hyde Park Circus grow, and wits take lodgings in the sound of bow. Sooner let air, earth, sea to chaos fall, Men, monkeys, lapdogs, parrots, perish all. She said, then, raging to Sir Plume repairs, and bids her beau demand then precious hairs. Sir Plume of amber snuff-box, justly vain, and the nice conduct of a clouded cane, with earnest eyes and round unthinking face, he first the snuff-box opened, then the case, and thus broke out, My lord, why, what the devil? Zounds, damn the lock, for glad you must be civil. Plague on it, 'tis past a jest, nay, prithee pox, give her the hair, he spoke, and wrapped his box. It grieves me much, replied the peer again, who speaks so well, should ever speak in vain. But by this lock, 'tis sacred lock I swear, which never more shall join its parted hair, which never more its honors shall renew, clipped from the lovely head where late it grew. That while my nostrils draw the vital air, this hand which won it shall forever wear. He spoke, and speaking in proud triumph spread the long contended honors of her head. But Umbriel, hateful gnome, forbears not so. He breaks the vial whence the sorrows flow. Then see, the nymph in beauteous grief appears, her eyes half languishing, half drowned in tears. On her heaving bosom hung her drooping head, which with a sigh she raised, and thus she said, Forever cursed be this detested day, which snatched my best, my favorite curl away. Happy, 10 times happy had I been, if Hampton Court these eyes had never seen. Yet am not I the first mistaken maid, by love of courts to numerous ills betrayed. Oh, had I rather unadmired remained in some lone isle or distant northern land, where the gilt chariot never marked the way, where none learned ombre, none e'er taste boe. There kept my charms concealed from mortal eye, like roses that in deserts bloom and die. What moved my mind with youthful lords to roam? Oh, had I stayed and said my prayers at home, 'twas this the morning omens did foretell. Thrice from my trembling hand the patchbox fell. The tottering china shook without a wind. Nay, Paul sat mute, and shock was most unkind. A sylph too warned me of the threats of fate, in mystic visions now believed too late. See the poor remnants of these slighted hairs, my hands shall rend what even thy rapine spares. These in 2 sable ringlets, taught to break, once gave new beauties to the snowy neck. The sister lock now sits uncouth alone, and in its fellow's fate foresees its own. Uncurled it hangs, the fatal shear demands, and tempts once more thy sacrilegious hands. O hadst thou, cruel, been content to seize hairs less in sight, or any hairs but these. And that was Canto 4. I'm Jonathan Ingwall. Thank you for listening.